Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Stamping A to Z. For those of you who are new here, Stamping A to Z is a series I created to walk you through the beautiful Stampin'Up catalog and to show you everything that there is in here and how to use it. And for those of you who already have a bunch of stuff, hopefully it'll get you to pull it out and play with it. I always show you different techniques to use the things that I'm showing you. Today we are on episode 31. We are looking at specialty paper, specifically vellum. So we've got our standard vellum cardstock, which looks like this. And then we have this beautiful, what's it called? In color shimmer vellum. So I think I have shown it before, but today we're gonna play with it a little bit. So it has all the in colors. It comes in, so it has polished pink, soft succulent, evening evergreen, I believe is what it's called. I should know these names. It has fresh freesia and pale papaya. And I don't know if it catches it in the video, but it has this beautiful shimmer to it. So not only is it vellum, so it's got that kind of nice plasticky, good to work with. I had done a little purse in it, which is fun. So yeah, you can do lots of things with it. And today I'm going to show you, this is going to be a two-part series actually, because I started coming up with all the different things you can do with vellum, and I had like 10 things on my list, and I'm like, well, this is way too many to do all in one live, so I'm going to split it up into two. So the first thing we're going to play with is just regular old vellum, and we're just going to use it as kind of vellum was meant to be used, or I guess your traditional boring I don't know if it's boring. So this is just basic white cardstock, and this is specialty designer series paper from the Expressions in Ink set, which is this one that's on the cover. I should really mark these better. So it's from this suite. So it's this paper, this beautiful set. So I'm also going to use the dies from this set, which I already pre-cut, and a good one for this. So I used this flower from the dies, and it's very detailed. So a really good way to use this one is to put your adhesive sheet on the back of your paper and then cut it out so that it becomes a sticker, making it much easier to work with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to find my, I take out so many things I lose half of it. Okay, take out my Stampin' Seal, and I'm just going to put this down onto my card. And as you can see, this is quite busy background. It's a busy paper. And then if I add this flower, it becomes quite busy. So what I'm going to use the vellum for here is just to kind of make it a little more subtle, not so pop, so that my sentiment pops instead of all this stuff in the background. Now, if your goal is for the stuff in the background to pop, obviously you wouldn't want to use the vellum to bring it down, but in this case, that's kind of what I was going for, is I went for a bold, background. And so as you can see, usually when you peel it, it peels nicely and pulls all the little pieces off, but you need to get it started. And as a person without nails, getting started is not the easiest thing. So see how when I pull it, it pulls all the little, most of them, not all of them, You still have a little bit of fussing to do, and depending how picky you are on whether, so you can see there's still a couple little pieces in my leaves. So I'm just going to take my Take Pick tool and poke those little pieces out. There we go. Okay, so now I've got, it's basically a sticker. Obviously you don't want to handle it too much or it won't stick that well anymore. I'm just going to put it down here. So now I have my busy background, which is quite beautiful in itself. But now if I want to make my sentiment pop, I'm going to add a piece of vellum. So I cut this piece of vellum out with my favorite. You guys have seen this 1,000 times now, even though they're new. And I lost them again, the Scallop Contour dies. Oh, there. So that's this one. And then I cut a second piece of vellum with the rectangular stitched dies, and it just happens to fit perfectly within this scalloped piece. So, you know, you can have one piece and it still shows through. If I add a second piece, it's a little more subdued, and then I can have my sentiment. So what I did for my sentiment, oops, I forgot to mount it. Or maybe I wasn't planning on. I took this. This is becoming my current favorite sentiment stamp set. It's so versatile and it has everything you need. So I took Birthday, and I'm gonna use this piece, and I'll show you how easy it is to emboss, heat emboss on vellum. And if I can find my Versamark, you see, I have everything organized and ready to go, and then I start moving stuff around and it's hard to find. Okay, so you have your Versamark, and you just want to make sure you cover your stamp with lots of Versamark. And the one trick when you're putting it down on vellum is it can be a little bit slippery. So you want to make sure you go straight down and you're not kind of wiggling it around. So I'm just putting pressure down, and then I'm just, now it's stuck. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's stamped fairly well. I'm just going to take a piece of scrap paper here to pour my powder on. And this is the black embossing powder. Okay. And then, now with vellum, the one thing you need to remember, now I can't find my cover, is if you heat it for too long, it'll start to warp. So, silly me, I did not heat up my heat gun. So I'm just gonna let it run for a minute and let it heat up, so it takes much less long to actually melt the powder, so my vellum doesn't get all wonky. Okay, I'm just gonna it's turning quite quickly. There we go. Make sure it's all done. So yeah, so you don't want to be holding your heat tool over it for too long. On the cardstock, it's very forgiving, but on the vellum, it not so much. So as you can see, when I put this here, it pops really nicely, whereas if I were just to put, say, this, it doesn't show up as well because the flower kind of takes over. So the finished, I won't bore you gluing down all these, the happy pieces, but I cut these out using the Alphabet Playful beautiful alphabet dies. And I used our new ombre shimmer. Oh, it's just ombre specialty paper, but it's this nice shimmer, and it has some cool colors, but I used the yellow. I don't know. I don't remember. It says somewhere what the color is, but I cut out the happy. Now you could use the foam adhesive sheets and actually have them popped up, but I just chose to have them flat, and I let the embossed birthday part kind of pop. But so, you know, you've got this beautiful background with the flower and the paper, but then your sentiment really pops with using the vellum. So that's your first way that vellum can be used. I'm just gonna put this powder away, because whenever I leave powder open, I end up spilling it, which is not good. Okay, so another way to use vellum is dry embossing on the vellum. So I'm going to take, here I decided to take the polished pink in color specialty vellum. You'll see in my next project that I dry emboss on regular vellum, so you'll see the effect on that. But this is kind of cool because you can do it two ways. I'm gonna take, so this is the animal print embossing folder. It's new in the annual catalog this year. It's part of that Wildcats suite. It is not a 3D embossing folder, so it's not going to be as what's the word I'm looking for, as deep as the 3D one would be. Let me get my big boss over here. We'll move this over and try and get this somewhat in view. Okay, so I'm going to take the first way I'm going to run it. I'm going to show you a couple different ways. So the first way I'm going to do it is face up. So you always look for the Stampin'Up logo. This one happens to have the line. Not that this one really matters. You could kind of be crooked and it wouldn't really make a difference. But if you wanted, if it was one that mattered, you can line it up on the line. And so my good side is face up with the logo. And I'm just going to sandwich that in there. I have my main plate. I have a cutting plate. I have my embossing folder, because this is not 3D. It's not the same sandwich as the 3D sandwich. So then I'm just going to roll it through. And when you open it up, it's stuck. Okay. You get this, it kind of gives this, it really pops compared to on a, actually I should do that. I'll show you on a, do I have a handy piece? I do. Okay, I'm going to, maybe I should do it on a colored piece. I will emboss it on a colored piece just so you can see the difference between the vellum and the, oh, Yolande, sorry, I didn't have my comments on. I didn't see. I'm glad you're here watching today. That must mean you have a little break time to yourself, which is good. Okay, run this through the cardstock, and then you can kind of see the difference between the vellum and, yeah, if you, the folder is in that Wildcats suite, so you can find it in there. You can find it at the back with all the embossing folders. So you can't see it as well because it doesn't, you can use ink and you can use other tricks to make this pop on regular cardstock, but with the vellum, it just gets that, so you can see it's white. So that was the other thing I'm going to show you, is if you take your vellum, so this would be more like your standard vellum. I'm going to put the back side, so the non-shimmery side up, and I'm going to run it through this way, and then you'll get much more of that kind of white, and it'll pop even more. It'll be less pink and less shimmery, so it'll depend on kind of the look you're going for. But this is just another look you can get. So that's kind of cool too. So you still have kind of that pink in the background, but you've got more of the white. This one has more of the pink, but still has good definition. So those are ways that you can use the vellum for dry embossing. So this is the card I made. I found it popped a little more on the dark. If I put it on white, it did not pop as much, so you kind of lose that definition. So putting it on the darker cardstock helps see that print better. And I used this cute back on your feet set, and I painted him. I saw a card from someone who'd done the Wildcats in a kind of pink theme, and it caught my eye a lot more than the regular colors. So I thought, why not? I don't care if giraffes aren't pink. And then this is from here, but the label is from this awesome, message dies. And I've showed you this before. It's one piece, and there's 2 stamp sets now that can be cut out with this die, but you can also use it just for a single piece if you just stamp it and then cut it out. So that was that fun card. My next one was actually a big aha. I saw another artist doing this with a totally different, not Stampin' Up stuff, whatever, but normally when we do 2-step stamping and stuff, you just stamp on top of each other and you do different levels of ink or different colors of ink. We're going to use vellum to do 2-step stamping, and it's super cool. So, oh, I just showed you. I ruined it. I'm going to take my vellum, and then I've got this, it is the Art Gallery stamp set. This came out last year, but it's still, it came out in our mini catalog, which is retiring at the end of June. So don't let me forget at the end, I have a deal for you to get your hands on all the things that are on sale right now. Okay, so I used Gorgeous Grape, and with this, you're gonna stamp each of the steps, but instead of on top of each other, you're gonna stamp them separately, and you're gonna stamp them in full ink. But before I do, I'm also going to clear emboss it. So when you stamp on vellum, it stays wet for a while, especially the regular ink. So because of that, you don't need to use Versamark. You can just use regular ink because it doesn't sink into the vellum. So I'm just going to pour my clear embossing powder on. Shake it off, and I'm just going to heat that up again. I should have been heating my tool. I need an assistant to have preheat my stuff. Anyways, I sent my assistant away to walk the dogs. They got gypped yesterday, so they're a little crazy today. I didn't think that was very fair. It's funny how dogs know. Okay, so here's my first flower. I just realized that I was totally doing that off camera as I'm trying to heat it up. So again, full strength, so the exact same color, and I'm going to stamp it again. Make sure I get that ink down, and then I'm going to do the embossing powder again. Okay, and this time I will do the magic on camera. Now that it's warm, it should be nice and fast. See, I find it seems to melt faster on vellum as well. So even though the vellum is sensitive, as long as you heat up your tool, it goes pretty quick. Okay, so this one is a 2-step. We're going to kind of turn it into a 3-step just the way we cut it out. Sorry, I'm just going to wash these quickly. That, you can tell it stains a bit, but it's not the end of the world. We'll just get as much off as we can. Okay, so then there's a die that goes with this. Now, if you do not have the dies, it is not a problem. You can totally fussy cut the flower, but those of you who know me, I do not like to fussy cut. So I think it's just because I like the more perfect. It's not that I don't enjoy the cutting. It's just maybe I'm not as good as I would like to be. Okay, so I'm going to pull my Big Boss over again. Move this out of the way. Make room. Okay, here's this, and then we need our cutting version. And we need, so I'm going to run this through twice. I'm going to cut it out once for each flower. Unfortunately, I don't have 2 dies, otherwise I could cut them out at the same time, but that would be really laziness. Okay, so that's my first flower. And then this one's a little harder to line up just because it's not the full impression, but you can kind of, took a little fiddling the last time, but you do eventually get it. Okay. I don't know if that's exact, but it's close enough. So again, that also, it might be more difficult. You might have to layer them and then cut them out if you don't have the dies, just because that one you wouldn't quite know the shape that you need. But it's still doable. I just had the white piece. Here we go. Okay, so I cut out that same piece in basic white, and then I have my full flower, and then I have my step 2, and as you can see, it looks like you've done what am I looking for? Shades, the different shades of purple, or like stamped off, but really it's just the vellum that gives it that effect. So you could do, if you had a 3-step stamp, so you can't do it this way, but the way you would normally stamp it would be like this. So a 3-step stamp would work. I was actually, I want to try it with our Beauty, what's it called? Beauty of the Earth stamp with the trees. It has kind of that same, I want to try it with that one next to see. But so, this is the card I did. So like I said, I dry embossed using the, what's it called? It's out of the same art suite, the Painted Texture embossing folder. So I just ran it through. So this one is the 3D one, so it's a bit deeper. So you just, on the regular vellum, you just get kind of those white prints, which is neat. I did put glue here because I could have just put glue behind the flower and kind of behind this strip, but I was worried it would just kind of flop around, so I did put it, so it kind of went dark there, but you can always try and hide it. I did put some of the pastel pearls on there to kind of camouflage. This happy birthday is out of the same stamp set, and the dies that have the flower, wherever I put it now, it has these nice little label things. So here I just heat embossed it with silver to match this. So this is part of the designer series paper, which, by the way, I believe this is 50% off, and it's beautiful paper, and it matches the regular paper. So this is, it has acetate with the gold, and then it matches the designer series paper, so you can actually put it right behind, and it's all colored, and then you have the gold. I'm pretty sure they're both 50% off, so they're while supplies last. This is retiring. So yeah, I just cut a strip of it, and instead of using it on the gold, if you turn it over, it's silver, and it's much shinier than this, and that's because there is a film on here to protect it. So don't forget, when, again, this is a time when nails would help. And if anyone has a trick to peel, oh, there we go. So yeah, so don't forget when you use this. I mean, it doesn't look that different, but it just gives that, it's just that much shinier. I don't know if you can see, it's just a little more clear when you take off the film. So yeah, so that was like a total wow moment with the vellum. I think that's kind of cool, not stamping it, but using the vellum to kind of have that layered. And then I did the same thing with the leaves. It's not a two-step, it's just a one, but then I put the white behind it and cut it out twice. So the green is on the vellum, and then it's just got white behind it. So that is technique number 3. I have 4 for you today. I just don't want to lose this flower. Okay. Okay, so my 4th one is one that I have showed you before, I think when I showed you the blends, but I have a little, it's got a little twist to it, and I really, really like it, so we're gonna do it again. I should have got some scrap paper here, because this is a messy one. Okay, so you're gonna take, our re-inkers are water-based. So this technique uses alcohol ink. So since I don't have alcohol refills, I'm gonna use the blends. And Yolanda, you're gonna recognize this because I remember doing this with you with Yupo paper and using the straw, which reminds me, I don't have my straw here. Oh, here it is. Okay. I remember us trying to play with this, and you made some really cool dots, but this is just kind of more of a whimsical. I'm going to attempt, well, maybe I won't tell you what I'm attempting to make and see if you can guess what this is going to be. So I'm going to start with the bottom part of this, and I'm going to use dark crumb cake and light soft suede. And I have found with practice that the more ink you can put down, the better. So before I was kind of being stingy and just kind of giving it a little bit of a color. But the more times you go over, the more ink you leave behind, obviously. And so the more you'll kind of get out of it. Just since we're not using actual ink, it's better to get more ink down. So then I'm going to take, I have alcohol, I just put it in an old medicine bottle with it because I wanted the dropper. And I'm just going to drop my alcohol on here. And the more you put, the lighter it'll be. The good thing though is if it gets too light, you can, once it's dry, you can go over it again. So this is actually spreading really well. But if you kind of want it to move around, you can take your straw and kind of blow it around. Get some different movement. Now it's, I think I had a little bit too much alcohol. Let me get something to dab it with. Now the nice thing with this, again, you get too much alcohol, it's too watered down, like I don't want to pick it all up. You can go over it again with your, and then you can, yeah, see now it's just one big blob of nothing. So I'm going to have to go over it again, maybe a little bit. And then if you've got the heat tool that has the 2 settings, so I'm not on the heat embossing and I'm doing it very high and away because I don't want my paper to get too wrinkled. So I'm just, this part's okay. This part really got washed away. So all you just have to color over it again and off you go again. So you can just keep going and going until you're happy with what you have. Blow hard. Blow it right off. Okay. Not too, just one more drop. There we go. There. But see, I find it's hard to get it on where it dries. Oh well, good enough. Okay, I'll keep going. So that's my bottom part. My middle part I'm going to use I'm going to use Bermuda Bay and Misty Moonlight. So once again, color it in. Gets lots of ink on there. Okay. Then we get out the alcohol dropper. So again, it's a bit wetter than I would like. So it would be nice if I could let it sit. And actually I'm gonna let it sit, because otherwise I'm gonna wreck it. I won't do the last one on camera. The last one I used was Balmy Blue and Misty Moonlight, and that was the top part. And then I will show you, if you let it dry, keep going. So this is what I ended up with. So what I did was I dried it and I actually flipped it over so the ink isn't going to rub off, and I just pasted it onto basic white cardstock. And I did a full, I find this new Stampin' Seal, if you're just putting it on a white and you just do a solid piece, it doesn't actually show through. And I don't know if it's because the ink's on there or what it is, but if you get a nice even layer of your adhesive, it won't show through. So it was fairly wrinkly, obviously, by the end of all of this. So yeah, I put it down onto basic white, and then I used Misty Moonlight in the background, And this is embossed onto vellum. So it's just white. These are the palm trees that are from the Timeless Tropical set. This has been around for a while. This is one of my favorite sets. I love Hawaii, those of you who know me. So, yeah, I needed to use, aw, thanks. I made this for a friend of mine whose birthday just, she loves Hawaii as well. Where did my first mark go? Here we go, okay. And then I need white powder instead of clear. Okay, so again, you just want to make sure you get lots of Versamark, but just be careful when you put it down. And if you're not sure and you're afraid to slip, you could always use, if you have a Stamparatus, you can always use that because it's much like you're just putting it down and up, so it's not going to slide anywhere on you. But once it's down, it doesn't really slide. It's more that initial, because as you can see now, it's sticking. So it's just that initial get it down where it might slip on you. And then you get your nice palm trees. I'm hitting my paper that's still wet, that's splashing everywhere. Okay, I'll just heat it up a little again. So you can see there, like the vellum, you can just do so much with. I just wanted to point out too though, you can see like there's a lot of detail that looks like it, and then when you heat it up, you're gonna lose some of that detail. And I don't know if it's because it's on the plasticky and it just moves more, or if it's just the white embossing powder, but either way, just be forewarned that you're going to lose some of that detail. And this Timeless Tropical set has dies that go with it. So instead of fussy cutting, I used my dies to cut out my palm trees. And then this this fun little label, and I don't know if you can see, I cut out some vellum with this little piece, and that's this. It's from Painted Labels Dies. So I used this label and this piece that I cut out with vellum for the label. I did these birds from I used a lot of sets in this. I used the birds in here and I just gold embossed them. And then I took the happy birthday to my beautiful friend from the Friends Are Like Seashells. So I stuck with a water theme anyways, ocean theme, whatever, and then just gold embossed it. So yeah, it turned out really, really pretty. I like that one. It worked out well. So those are the 4 cards today. Let me show you again. So this is the one where we just kind of use the vellum to pop the sentiment. This one is the dry embossing on vellum. This one is the multi-step stamp technique on vellum, and then this one was the alcohol, the blends on the vellum. So those are my 4 techniques for today. I do have 4 more for next week, more fun to have. Yes, and you can use your Stamparatus. It works really well for this. I have my Stamparatus set up for some of the other techniques we're going to do next week. I did want to remind you that we are coming to the end of the special that they have on, where you get the extra $30 when you either spend $300 or host a party or whatever. If you want to host a party, let me know soon. I think we could if we order kits or something, you could probably get it in quick enough to take advantage of that. The other thing I wanted to take advantage of is the retiring mini catalog. So I'm going to be putting an order in tomorrow, and I'm going to offer free shipping to if you pick up in Edmonton. at my house. So you could get in on free shipping. So that's savings of about 10% on top of the savings you would get with all of the sales that are on for this right now. I showed you a bunch last week in my video, and then today, what was the one I showed you that's the art gallery designer series paper. That one is a really good deal. So anyways, if you want to take advantage of that, you can just send me your order and I will put it in and you will get the free shipping. I can't do it through the online for you to get your free shipping. So if you want to get in on that, just let me know that you have an order that you want to put in. I will put a reminder out. I will post pictures of the cards from today, and hopefully you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll hopefully see you next week. Bye.